Thanks everyone for tuning in. A special episode of Seriously Butthurt Sports. I got Mike, the card guy here, and he's going to demo some cards and talk to us about what he looks for when he's looking for that gem of a card. Thanks for tuning in. All right, and we're here, myself, Nick Litch, and I got my boy Frankie, as always. How's it going, Frank?
Good. It's a rainy night tonight.
Yeah, the Yankees are off, so five in a row, I think they are now. So my rant still stands from the other night.
Yeah.
And we got Mike here, Mike the Card Hunter.
Hey, guys.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. Really happy to be joining you guys here today, and we're going to talk a little bit some sports cards.
Yeah, so why don't you go into how you got into looking for cards? And, I mean, it was all a hobby of ours, and got them in our lunchbox as kids. But how did you get into it more so as an adult now?
Yeah, sure. So real quick, when I was a kid, and you guys, so when I started out, I was about 15 years old, 14 years old, and I was putting the baseball cards in my bike and, flipping cards, damaging them. I didn't care. It was just baseball cards. It wasn't really a big deal.
Right.
My cousin, who was older than me, set me aside and said, "Mike, you have to get these cards and put them away and never touch them." I'm like, I'm 14 years old. I want to play with these cards. I want to trade. He goes, "All right, that's great, but buy some, but then put the rest away." So I did. So fast forward 25 years or so, a little bit more than that maybe. And a friend of mine gives me a call and he says, "Hey, Mike, I hear you have baseball cards." I said, "Yeah, they're sitting in my basement. They're not really worth anything. They're from the 80s and 90s. They printed so many of them, there's no way they're worth anything." And he goes, "You're wrong." I said, "What do you mean I'm wrong? I'm never wrong." So I go in the basement and I get out my collection of cards and I start pulling these cards out. And I'm like, I got a Bo Jackson, I got a Mark McGwire rookie card, I got Barry Bonds rookie card. But I said they made millions of these. And I took pictures of them. And my friend would say, "Hey, that one looks a little off center. That one looks centered. That one's left of center." I was like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean centered?" And he tried to explain it to me. And I'm going to actually switch my phone, my camera here to, you guys can see my cards.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. You guys can see okay, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to show you some examples here of what I'm talking about. Okay. So this here, can you see this okay, guys?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, great. All right. So this is a Tony Gwynn rookie card.
Cool.
This card here is worth about $1,500 to $1,800. So when I got this card, I was like, yes! I was so excited about this. And then my buddy said, "This is not centered." And what he means by that is, if you look at the border around the card, see how the border here is wider than on this side?
Yep.
This card was printed off center. This had nothing to do with me, nothing the way I kept the cards.
Right.
This had everything to do with the way the factory put it out. So about 15 years ago or so, there was a company came out, PSA, maybe even a little longer than that, 20 years ago. But they came out and they said, "Hey, we're going to make these cards that they made millions of valuable again. And how we're going to do that is we're going to grade them. And we're going to say, you remember that Barry Bonds card that they made millions of? How can we make that valuable again?" And what they said was, we're going to say, not only do the corners have to be perfect, not only does that have to be no surface damage, but the card has to be printed perfectly. And again, that has nothing to do with us. So it's kind of like hitting a lotto. So you can have a complete set of 1987 tops, and you could have this card in it, but if it's correctly, again, which you have no control over, the card's not worth as much. So this is kind of what I've been learning as I've been going on now for a little over a year. I've been playing around with the cards and, just having fun collecting them. And like I said, we got the a Wade Boggs rookie card. And look, I mean, you guys just looking at this with your naked eye, and I just gave you a little bit of information. You guys can tell me right now, is this card going to grade well?
No.
Probably not.
No, right? You can look at this right-hand side here. It is printed pretty far off center. So instead of this card being graded a PSA 10, which is gem mint, this is going to grade out at a 9, and that's going to cost me hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. Again, this card's worth maybe $1,500. PSA 9, it's probably worth $200 maybe.
I was gonna ask you that, Mike. How much does it go down per score? I guess.
Yeah.
The grading.
Yeah. So it depends on the cards. Like these cards that they printed so many of them, it's pretty dramatic to drop off. So the newer cards now, they're not printing as many. So if you drop from a 10 to a 9, it's drastic, but it's not as drastic as these because there's not as many of them. So like, great example now, you guys know who Luka Doncic is, right? I think everyone knows who Luka Doncic is at this point.
Yep.
If you don't, he plays for the Dallas Mavericks, point guard, and his rookie card is going for thousands of dollars. I have a Kobe Bryant rookie card that's worth $800, which is a lot of money. It's nothing to,
Sure.
dismiss.
I'll take $800 sitting in my basement.
Exactly. But when you compare it to Luka Doncic's card, which is worth, more than that, $1,000, $2,000, depending on which one you have, it's because they don't make as many of them. So, and I'll show you an example of a graded card here. Okay. You guys Yankee fans you guys are Yankee fans.
Well, I
yes.
am. Yeah. We have a Mets fan in the
This
house.
card must be worth $1.
Oh, come on.
That's the Pete Alonso card to really drop off.
Hey, this card might be worth more than his contract that's going to come up.
Yeah. He can't. You know what? Poor Aaron, he can't stay healthy. He just can't stay healthy.
No, that's pretty cool though.
So let's take a pause here for a second.
Yes.
I'm new to the card game. I have no idea. So I guess I'm going to be the voice of whoever doesn't know anything about cards. So when you say PSA, you're saying PSA 10, PSA 9. What does PSA mean?
So PSA is a card grading company. So PSA is the probably the number one grading company out there. There's also a company called Beckett, which is probably the number 2 company, I would argue. And there's a few other ones as well. PSA, if you get them graded, they're very reputable. And I find that on eBay anyway, those cards bring in the most money. So you're going to get a PSA 10 versus a Beckett, Beckett 10. The PSA is going to bring in more money. So it's just a more reputable company.
So is it because their standards are a little bit higher in terms of how they grade them or anything like that?
Yeah, I believe that's the reason is that they've been along a while. Also,
Okay.
Beckett does it a little bit different as well. So like Beckett, if you like what they do, like this is clearly just a 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Beckett, they have 4 different areas of grading. It'll be if there's surface damage, that'll get a 9.5 or a 10 or a 9, whatever it is. And then the corners and centering. So they'll grade each of those individually, and then they average it out to be, whatever it would be, 9.5, 9, or a 10. So some people just are like, is the card a 10 or a 9? I just want to know. I don't need to know the complete breakout of everything.
Sure.
Like if you study this card, maybe like, oh, you know what? This card is a PSA 10, but it's a little thinner on this side. And the Beckett would actually break it out. Say centering on this card wouldn't be a 10, it'd be a 9.5.
Oh, so it kind of grades every little part and then kind of averages it out.
Correct.
Okay.
I think a lot of people just want a definitive answer. Is this a 10 or is it a 9?
Right.
That's it. I don't need to know every detail on the card, right?
Right.
And then, we were kind of talking about Peter Alonso. We were talking about Aaron Judge. And so I have a large collection of older cards because I'm older. And that's what I know. I know all the guys that played in the 90s,
Sure.
early 2000s. That's what I grew up with. So I love Kobe Bryant cards. I have a ton of Michael Jordan cards. Those are good cards to have, by the way.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah. So, but those cards, they don't drastically go up the way the newer cards do, right? Because why are newer cards going up? Why do you think a Luka Doncic card would go up in value?
No clue.
No
Just
clue.
Because,
All right.
because of
Yeah.
the printing. I don't know. I'm not going to take a stab
Maybe
at
the
it.
printing quality is better now than the printing quality back then.
That's a good point.
That's a good point, but you guys are thinking too hard about it. So,
Okay.
right? So, this thing, a retired player, his stats are already completed. We already know what he's done, right? Luka Doncic just hit a game-winning shot. We're not going to count the last game, right, where they got blown out. But the prior game, he just hit a game-winning shot. What do you think that does for his value, right?
It's like a stock price.
Boom. So these cards are very much like a stock, right? So I have this Tiger Woods card, right? I bought this Tiger Woods card about a year ago.
That's cool.
And this card is his rookie card. Now, when he was playing poorly, his card was pretty stagnant. All of a sudden, he's starting to play well again. Not that, he didn't win any tournaments yet. He's just playing well. Just people are encouraged. So this card I paid $180 for this card. It's a lot of money for a card.
Sure.
The card now is selling for $500 on eBay. So that's a pretty good return. So I can sell this card right now and take my profit, but I'm kind of gambling here, right? It's like a night in Atlantic City, right, Nick? I'm gambling a little bit here, and I'm saying I think Tiger has one more tournament in him. I think he could win one more, So I'm going to hold on to this card and see what happens.
Like the Masters in November.
There you go. And you want to know something? If Tiger's just playing well leading up to the Masters, before the Masters even starts, this card's going to go up in value. Just because people are going to start buying it thinking, ooh, Tiger might win the Masters.
Okay.
He does.
Mhm.
If he does.
You're buying at a steal, a discount.
Exactly.
Now, when do cards decrease in value?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So right now, we're in the middle of a boom, right? And the boom's been going on probably for about a year, right? So it kind of started before the pandemic. Now people have been locked in their houses, and we didn't have sports for a long time. And, I'm sure you guys were suffering just like I was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you guys love talking sports, right? I love doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we all missed it. So what were people doing? They're like, I need my sports fix. So they started buying cards, and they started investing in cards. And the pandemic has actually, I think, given the card industry kind of a boost. So we're kind of in a bubble right now, and I'm hoping that bubble doesn't pop so quickly. I think we have some time on it. But a reason for card value to go down is, if it's a current player, the player is playing poorly, injuries, that type of thing. But a reason for the card to go up, Michael Jordan's cards recently went up dramatically because Michael Jordan was on, let me flip this back. You guys can see, whoa, there I am. So Michael Jordan, they recently had a documentary, right?
Right.
And they had that huge documentary. Well, it was called The Last Dance, right?
Yep.
So The Last Dance did wonders for the Michael Jordan cards. Those cards started exploding. Not rookie cards, just his normal cards just started going through the roof. Okay. Then they had the Mark McGwire documentary with Sosa. Do you guys remember that one recently? If you do.
I'm always at least 6 months behind the schedule. I just watched The Last Dance a couple weekends ago. I binged it through the whole weekend.
And how long have I been telling you to watch that?
A very long time. And I said,
Oh, yeah.
I texted him. I said, dude, I just watched the Final Dance. Freaking awesome.
And now I'm like, that's
good.
old news. We're on to the next
Now we
year.
can't even have a show about it because it's old.
We actually wanted to have our first podcast to be about The Last Dance
And I said no.
because he didn't watch
you
it.
didn't
see
watch
what
it yet.
Exactly.
The
Exactly.
president didn't do his job. So
Unbelievable.
go ahead, Mike. Continue.
Yeah. So anyway, so these documentaries, like I said, they did one on McGwire and Sosa, and then McGwire's card started going up. Sosa's card started going up. So you have these little, documentaries that come out, and cards will go up. Kobe. I mean, that was extremely unfortunate. But all of a sudden, people wanted to buy all his cards, not just his rookie cards. They're buying all his cards. So events like that can drive the price up on cards dramatically. If they get any kind of hype on ESPN or Bleacher Report, you guys remember that game? You guys are sports fans. Ball. You guys know who Ball is?
Mm-hmm.
Manute Ball's son. He was in.
Yes.
It was during the bubble. It was the first game of the bubble, I think, for his team. And he comes out and he puts up like 15 points and like 10 boards and a bunch of blocks. All of a sudden, this guy's card that I could buy for $1 was going for $50 the next day after that, just because he had a great performance. And that's also kind of like a knee-jerk reaction because everyone was craving sports so much and gambling kind of, right? Because it's kind of gambling too.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Everyone started buying his card up. And like I said, a card I could pay $1 for the day before, now selling for $50. And I was like, oh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I guess it could go the other way around now too, right? Let's say, for example, right, because we were talking about Aaron Judge before. So Aaron Judge's card, very popular on the Yankees. I'm assuming it's a very popular card right now. People are thinking that he's going to have a terrific career and stuff like that. Now, if it's – I'm not saying that this is true or not, but let's say tomorrow they come out and they say, Aaron Judge, we found out that he was taking steroids. Now, does that decrease the value of that card now?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean – Alex Rodriguez's cards aren't worth really, as much as some of these other guys. And yeah, I think something like that would have an effect on his card. Absolutely. And not to get back on the Mets, but Peter Alonso's card was one of the top cards last year. People are going crazy for the Peter Alonso cards.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much this year, right? So,
No.
But I would still bet on him. And I have a couple of his cards because that's a guy, I think he's going to figure it out. Aaron Judge, if guy can stay healthy, he's going to put up numbers, right? Yep. Stanton was another guy. Stanton, before the year started, I bought a few of his rookie cards. I was looking really good that first couple of weeks.
Until he went on the IL.
Killing me.
I hope you have some DeGrom cards.
I don't have any
DeGrom
cards.
Come on. He's going to get 3 Cy Youngs. I should go look at that now. Go get his cards. Thinking he's going to get a Cy Young this year.
You should. So, this is what I tell people that want to get into the hobby, right, is collect guys that that you're passionate about. Because you know what? Yes, it's great to make money. We all want to make money. But you know what? These are guys you like. These are guys that, that's your guy, right? Like Peter Alonso, that's your guy. And, for example, I'm going to show you a card here I have that I'm betting on.
Is it a Don Mattingly card?
Yeah, I'm betting on Don Mattingly. Yeah, he's making a comeback. He's making a comeback, Nick. So this is my guy right here, right? I'm a Nets fan, right? So, which is really difficult being a Nets fan. But Karis LeVert, this is my guy. And if you guys followed basketball at all in the bubble this year, Karis had a great bubble. So they make these cards that they have. This is actually a piece of his shirt or his shorts.
Sneaker?
No.
No.
And if you look really close here,
has
you
a
can
number.
See it has a number, right? So there were only 99 of these made. So that's the kind of cards that I like to have because they didn't make 1 million of these. They only made 99 of them. And it's an autograph with a piece of his jersey on there. This card potentially can be worth something if his career goes the way I think it's going to go. So that's a gamble on my part. And that's,
it's part of the fun.
It's part of the fun. Like, that's what we do. This is another guy I picked up, right? Marvin Bagley III. So I got a stack of his cards, right? Rookie cards, second-year cards, mosaic, as you see here. There's all these different types. So I said, you know what? Let me take a flyer on him. I like his game. And if he becomes a star, these cards will become money. If they don't, I have a stack of cards.
You have a stack. You have some firewood.
It's like penny stocks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mike, let me ask you, which sport holds the most value in cards, if any?
Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to tell you what I know about. So what I know about is basketball. Basketball is the number one card for me and for most.
I'm surprised. You'd think baseball, Americana cards, flipping cards.
Right. But basketball is not just an American sport. Baseball isn't either, for that matter. But Basketball
fair.
is huge. Basketball is huge overseas. I mean, I think the Dream Team made that a real reality for overseas. They love basketball there. But the other sport, which you guys can probably take a guess, which is probably the number one sport, is soccer. Right? Worldwide, soccer is the biggest sport, and it also their cards do very well as also. Now, I don't know as much about soccer cards, so that's why I'm telling you basketball. In our market here, basketball is the number one card. It'd be basketball, baseball, football, then hockey is kind of a distant.
Yeah, makes
like
sense.
yeah, like I love basketball, baseball, and football. Hockey, not as much.
Yeah.
I have like a Pavel Bure. You guys know who that is? If you're hockey fans, I have his rookie card. I was like, oh, this card must be worth a fortune. It's not. It's not. It's not.
That's pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So you would say that hockey is worth the least,
I would say that. Yeah. Yeah.
even below golf.
Even below golf. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Maybe because there's some Tiger Woods cards out there, and there's some other golf. Oh man, I'm blanking on my golfers right now. But
That's Koepka.
Reed, Arnold Palmer.
No. Current guys.
Current.
Jordan Spieth.
Thank you, Jordan Spieth. His card is worth some good money as well.
Yeah.
They actually have a card of him throwing out a first pitch at a baseball game that is worth more than hockey cards. So yeah. So I would say golf is probably ahead of hockey.
Now,
Yeah.
do they have cards for any athlete? For example, let's say Michael Phelps. Do they have a baseball card or a card on him?
They do. Yeah, they do have Olympic cards. And I've been doing consignment deals with people. So I have my own personal collection. But what happened was, a little sidetrack. So when I first started doing the cards, my friends were making fun of me because they were like, Mike, these cards aren't worth anything. Keep them in the basement, or better yet, throw them in the fire.
It's kind of like when I wanted to start a podcast.
It's like a penny stock right now, this podcast.
Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of haters out there, but you know what? You got to do you. You know.
That's right.
That's right. This thing's gonna boom as soon as they see this podcast with the cards.
We're gonna explode.
Our first interview.
Hey, I am honored to be your first interview.
Yeah.
And hey, look, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I've watched a few of your podcasts, and you guys know what you're talking about, and it's great. And you're having fun. That's the important thing.
That's right.
And, yeah. Someone once told me, if you do something that you love and you enjoy, you never work a day in your life, right? And I never thought
I work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
But you know what? Maybe one day you won't. Maybe one day this is what you'll be doing. If you would have told myself when I was 14 years old that I'd be making money selling cards, I would be like, what? This is the greatest thing ever. Now, can I support my family right now? No, we're not there yet.
Not there yet.
Not there. But people do.
Yeah.
People do. And I'm friends with those people, and they're making thousands of dollars a month, tens of thousands of dollars a month. And yes, they can sustain themselves. But so the way I kind of got started, I was saying, is I started selling my own cards, and my friends would make fun of me about it. And I said, listen, give me your collection. They said, all right. So they gave me their collection. We made a deal, and I started selling cards to that one friend. We started making money. Then another friend's like, hey, I have cards too. Make me money. And then it's kind of turned into, and then I was like, you know what? My brother started teasing me. He's like, Mike, not teasing. He said, Mike, you should go on Facebook Live. I'm like, Facebook? He goes, yeah, because you have people on there. He goes, just go on there and talk about cards. I go, no one's going to listen. He goes, just do it. You'll get some experience. It'll be fun. And look, now I'm here talking to you guys, right?
Yeah.
And every time I do one, someone messages me about their card collection. Hey, Mike, can you help me? And that brings me back to the Olympics. So see what I did there? I'm bringing it back. So
Bring it back.
bringing it back. So Michael Phelps cards, right? All right. So a girl I knew, she messaged me, said, Mike, I have a bunch of Olympic cards. Greg Louganis and, a bunch of other 80s. Bruce Jenner. I'm like, oh, I said, I wonder if these cards are worth anything. A Bruce Jenner card, I mean, that has to be worth something. It's not a, yeah. So,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Bruce Jenner, the Greg Louganis. Like, these are cards.
You don't even have to know anything about sports.
You don't, exactly. So, unfortunately, those cards are not worth anything. The ones she had weren't really worth anything, but they do make Olympic cards. And I'm not sure what a Michael Phelps rookie card is, but you know what? I should look that up, and I bet you that is worth something.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking about, like, Michael Phelps, like, maybe the sport is not crazy big like basketball, baseball, whatever. But I was just thinking, like, there's these iconic athletes that, you can name a couple in tennis.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are not, not everybody's a tennis fan, but, when these big tournaments happen, Serena Williams, I'm sure they make some cards about her. So, I'm thinking about these big athlete, bigger than, I guess you could say bigger than life kind of athletes here. And, I was thinking that maybe those cards are worth more than an average baseball player or something like that.
Yeah, and you'd be right. Like, if you would have told me I would have spent $180 on a Tiger Woods card, I would have said, are you crazy? But Tiger Woods transcends golf. I mean, everyone knows Tiger Woods. So like you said, Rafael Nadal and, these other, big tennis players. Yeah, their cards are probably worth money as well. Now, that's not something that I am super passionate about. Like I said, my passion is, basketball and baseball and football. And those are the cards that I love and I talk about. And, what else is cool is they have error cards or kind of weird cards, right? And I'm pretty sure I know Nick saw this card. So I'm going to.
From today?
No, I don't even remember what I showed today.
the 2020 cards.
Oh, yes. But hold on. I'm going to show you this card right here. And this is it's before both of your times, but you may know who this is. All right. So this is a Mark Jackson card. Okay. And I'm going to get really close. That's going to get out of focus. But you see these two guys? See these two guys sitting in the front row?
Seinfeld?
No.
Come on.
Can you pull it back a little bit?
Yeah.
And Frank, stop talking. I can't see it.
I can't get it.
All right. This is before your time, so I'm going to give you guys a pass. But this is the Menendez brothers. Now, the Menendez brothers, if you don't know, they killed their parents. So they were very wealthy, very wealthy family. I think they lived they were in California, I believe. And they just happened to be sitting front row when this picture was taken. And now it's on the card. And I think a year after this was taken, they killed their family. So this card has value just because of that.
Because it has a story behind it.
Because it has a story behind it, right? Then there's another card. I don't have it here. But there's a Billy Ripken card. Billy Ripken is Cal Ripken Jr.'s brother. And he had a card that he's posing with the bat. And on the knob of the bat, are we allowed to use foul language on this?
Yeah, go
for it. Go ahead.
All right. So on the knob of the bat, it said fuckface on the knob of the bat. And can you believe that the card company did not catch that and they printed them?
Some guy got fired for that shit.
Oh, yeah. So that card's out there, and that card's worth a few $100. And then they did catch it, and they reprinted it with, they whited it out, right? So there are these error cards that are out there that, make cards worth more money as well.
Yeah.
So
Mike, somebody that's trying to just get into it as a hobby, wants to just do it, casual, like hunting and stuff like that. What's the best way to go about it? Yard sales, eBay?
Yeah.
What do you like to do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I like to do now, when I first started I was just looking on eBay. I was looking for players that I like to collect. And then I was like, there has to be a better way. I want to pick up collections. I want to, try to get some good deals on cards. So I looked on Facebook Marketplace, of all places. I was like, look in the neighborhood, and I found some people selling their collections. So I would just go see them, and I wound up finding these great cards, and some of them I revealed on my Facebook Live, and I pulled a Kobe Bryant rookie card from one of those marketplace deals. A Shaquille O'Neal rookie card from that.
Some people have no idea what they're putting.
They don't. Yeah,
getting
they
rid
don't.
of.
Yeah. And like, I'm not trying to take advantage of people, but maybe I am too at the same time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like,
Hey,
you're trying to find deals. You're trying to find deals.
What's that
And-
saying? One man's trash is
Trash is
another man's
man's treasure.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and the other thing to know is, and people get too excited when I start talking to people about it. They start looking up cards and they're like, "Hey, I got this Barry Bonds rookie card. It's worth $3,000. I can't believe I have this card." And then I'm like, "Listen, that's awesome, but the chances of it being worth that is slim because of the things we talked about earlier. It has to be centered. The corners have to be good, and then also what people don't know is." Topps put out 3 different sets, right? There's a Topps base set, then a Topps traded set, and then there's a Topps Tiffany set. So when people are looking at pricing, they look at the Tiffany pricing. So the $3,000 is for a Tiffany, and a Barry Bonds regular rookie card is worth maybe $400, let's say. So it's a big gap.
Yeah.
So that Tiffany set's like the Ferrari of cards, versus you got your traded set, which is like a Mercedes, and then you have your base set, which is like your Toyota. So, or Ford, go with an American company.
American.
Right? So if you don't know that stuff, people get very excited because you just don't know. So you have to really know what you're looking at to realize what the value is. So like when I'm going to a yard sale, I love going to yard sales now. Just driving by, there's a yard sale. I'm like, "Do you have any cards?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have cards." And I go and
Until they find out you're Mike the card hunter.
yeah. The last one,
And then they're like, "Can you look through these with us before you take them?"
Oh, can I get that set back and eye it through a little?
I thought I saw something in there.
Yeah.
It's
What was
funny
that?
because-
What did you say? The Menendez brothers? Let me go back and see if there's another
Yeah.
card with those guys in there.
I would have threw that card in the guard. I wouldn't have had the slightest idea.
No, and most people don't. And most people don't know. So,
Yeah.
it's fun. And, you always have to talk. I talk. I like to talk, obviously. So you have to talk to people about, like, what you have going on. Like, you have a podcast going on, right? You can just be talking to people and, hey, maybe they have something interesting to talk about on your podcast. So when I talk to people, I talk about cards. And if they start reacting to it, we keep going. If not, I let it go. But I recently started a new job, and I was talking to one of the guys I work with, and he's like, "Really?" He goes, "I have a 1989 complete upper deck set." And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And you guys are like, 1989, I wasn't even born yet.
Twinkle.
But, right, Twinkle, that's right. You guys were Twinkles, is right. So 1989 is famous for a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card is in that set. Along with, this card's
Randy
in
Johnson.
Oh, now you're just showing off.
I watched. I took notes.
That's right. So Randy Johnson's in there. But the Ken Griffey Jr. card is a phenomenal card, and this guy had 2 of them. So he's like, "Mike, I'll bring the cards to you tomorrow." And he was pumped up for it. I already sold one of them. I have the other one off getting graded right now. And if that card grades well, it could go for $700-800. That's just money he had sitting in the basement, had no idea about.
Wow.
So that's how, that's kind of how you have to network, right? And that's what you guys are doing as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's
definitely. We're trying it out. So anybody that's interested in cards or has some cards that follow us, where can they find you?
Yeah. So
Facebook?
the best place right now, I would say, is my Facebook group, which you guys can put a link in there.
Absolutely.
It's Mike the Card Hunter, and you guys again could just throw a link up. That would be awesome.
We'll when we post this up on YouTube and when we put it up on Facebook, we will drop a link below in the comments section.
Yeah. So that's the best place to find me, and I'm on there fairly often talking about cards that I've acquired for myself or cards that I picked up through consignment deals, and I give tips on what to look for in the cards, as we talked about with the centering and some other things, looking out for Menendez brothers. But
I'm gonna look that up now.
yeah, it's a crazy story for sure. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. Frankie, you got any other questions for Mike?
I guess everybody who's watching this is probably going to say, I wonder how many cards this guy has. Ballpark, what do you think?
Whatever
Okay.
your wife doesn't want to hear.
I was just going to say that, Nick. That's exactly what I was going to say. My wife may watch this back. Jeez, guys. So to give you an idea, a typical set of cards is like 800 cards in a set, and yeah, I must have like 30,000 cards.
Jesus.
Now the real question is, how many of those cards out of the 30,000 are actually worth something?
Yeah.
And the percentage is low, right?
Small.
So yeah,
Part of the fun.
It's part of the fun because, like I told you guys, you can have the card, but if it's not centered, if it's not perfect, you know, it's almost worth nothing. Almost. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being our first interview. I think we did all right. I think we had a fun conversation. Mike the Card Hunter on Facebook. You can find them. We'll post it below. Mike, thanks for joining us, man. Had a good time.
Yeah, thank you. We've learned a lot.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you guys. I appreciate it, and good luck with the show.
Thanks.
And,
We'll have to have you back sometime. You can
Yeah.
talk about the miserable Jets.
Oh, the Jets. They just can't get it together. Bell and Gase, they're never on the same page. But
Nope.
yeah. So a quick tease for you guys before I get off is I do have a new business starting up surrounding cards that
Tease
is
it.
gonna change the industry.
All right.
And I'm super excited about it. And as I get a little further along, I will definitely come back on here and give you more information about it. I'm very excited about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome anytime. And I thought you were going to drop it on your little lunchtime special that you had going on today, but I understand that you need to slowly work things out.
It's cloaked in
I-
secrecy.
I get it. Well, thanks again, Mike, and as always, Frankie, for being a co-host. Thanks for tuning in. Seriously, Butthurt Sports.